All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. All right. This is a brand new series. This one will be called Evolution of Man. And the general purpose of Evolution of a Man is to bring testimony and other things to life. Excuse me, let me go turn the volume up. Okay. You should be able to hear me better. Let's see. Right there. Okay. Evolution of a Man is designed to take a hard look at what pretty much like recovery, things of that nature, anything that has to do with drug addiction, recovering your home, family values, like your family is kind of number one. And so let me give you some background. When I was looking at creating some new programming, I had to first look at where are the weaknesses in people's lives. What are they needing to hear? Not only what do they need to hear, but how can I serve a greater purpose in doing something for this world? So if one man can do anything, I'm going to attempt to do everything that I can do just by myself until we get some more funding. So hopefully we'll get funding. But this is the idea. I'm going to try to create with just these hands. So the Evolution of Fatherhood is a new series. This is what we're going to be talking about for this video. Next video will probably be something else. But the bottom line is, whenever I announce what I'm on, the video series, the programming, I will tell you what program it is, so you know immediately what program you're tuning into. And so that'll help you track not only my programming, but you'll be able to catch what I'm doing in the programs and how different they are. Now, those who have big families, or you're a family guy at all, I want to reach those who are family people most of all. People who need a solid guidance on how to handle things. And so let's go ahead and just begin in the programming here. Let me start with this. In order to evolve or be present in your fatherhood, you must remember it never ends with you. You are the leader of your home. And as the leader of your home, it is very important for you to establish your role as a leader in that home. Not in submission to your wife, you're leading your home. Now, let me show you something. Angel, come here. Come here. This right here is my daughter, Angelica. Don't lean on me. This one was the reason that I got saved when I was messed up on drugs. She's the one that changed my life. Because I knew as a father, I had to be present in her life. And presence does not mean high. Presence means sober-minded, that you're there in presence, that you're not caught up on drugs and other addictions. Making the sacrifice for your daughter or your kid is why you choose to do these things. She was the reason I gave up the drugs. Thank you, Muff. Love you. So, in recovery, if you're struggling with anything, you've got to make sure you set your foundation principle preferably on the Bible. But if you're not spirit-filled and you don't believe and you're not going to, and if there's nothing that will convince you otherwise, at least build your foundation on doing it for your family. Wake up every day knowing that you need to be there for your daughter or your son or your spouse or whoever. Making a choice to be there is a choice you have to make every day. It's not something that you make one time and all of a sudden you don't ever have to make that choice again, because that's just not the case. Every day you have to decide by waking up and deciding every day that you're going to stay sober, that you're going to stay working and providing for your family. It's an everyday decision to wake up an adult. It's an everyday decision to be a father. And later in this program, not today's program, but later as this program evolves, maybe next week or the week after, I'm going to start bringing people on the show who fit the role models for what I'm talking about. So we will have guests on my programming. So, a father, you can never replace your presence with a present. There's nothing you can buy that will replace your presence. So if you got that mindset, You have to get that mindset out of your head because it does not work in a family setting. You may think it does, and it may temporarily, but in the long run, people will always value your presence over the things you buy them. I'll let that sink in a second. Now, as you learn to be a father, you learn what it means to be present. You know, when you go buy something, you can't buy something that will outlast your missing presence. Entertainment only goes so far before the person you bought the gift for wants your presence more than they want the gift you bought them. And that's something you have to settle with yourself right here and now. Know that you cannot buy your way out. So that means you only have one choice. You have to be there. And if you have to be there, hold on a sec. Let's see. All right, hold on. Let me try this. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, so if you're going to get your presence to go further, then you have to be willing to put more into it. Right? You have to be willing to make sacrifice. And if you're willing to make sacrifice, your family will always respect your choices more because you're actually present. You are actually present in their life. Let me make sure I got this thing set right. Okay, yeah, it's full. It's up all the way. Alrighty, sorry about that. I'm wondering why my sound seems so low. All right. With presence, your ability to steward every day, being there for your family, is what's going to ultimately be what defines your fatherhood. I'll say it this way. My father spent my entire adult life pretty much absent in my life. You can't replace his presence. You can mend it, make little Band-Aids. They don't always work because Band-Aids are usually bad things. Drugs, addiction, things of that nature. They don't work. The only way that you can go through life as a father is you have to live it, because every child is watching the choices you make. And how you decide to define your fatherhood will define itself by what you do and the choices you make. I want you to think about that for a moment. And I'm intentionally going slow so that you can kind of dig this in. What value as a father are you giving your kids? What are you teaching them to do? Well, you think about that. I'll be right back. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so your value of what you teach your kid is going to come from the most strongest role model the kid can pull from, should be his father. And your ability to teach the right thing will depend on you knowing what the right thing is. You have to know how to be a good father by example. And being a good father by example is taking time and effort to learn what it means to be a good father. Now, let me ask you this. If you had a choice to have drugs or your family, which one will you choose? You have to decide which one means more to you. One of your most prized possessions should be your own integrity, which means you should never compromise your integrity. The greatest wealth of a man, the greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but it is his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. Now, you can choose to either add to add God to the equation, to your life, or you choose not to. Now, I always say that I need my life to always be filled with guidance and direction by God. But because this is not a God-only program, I also have to help those who don't have faith, basically. I want to be able to help everybody. So faith is not a requirement, but I will tell you that it's the right thing to do if you want to raise your family correctly. You will put and keep God first. But since I can't force everybody to have faith, I could tell you it's the best process, but whether or not you will do that is up to you. You should begin with God, and you should end with God in life. But that's up to you. Your instructions in life should include teaching your kid God's plan. Because you know what? Your child's going to need God. My child needs God. I need God. Everybody needs God. Now, whether or not you get God or find God, that's between you and God. Money can only talk so far before money no longer becomes of value. It can only go so far. People who believe all you need is money are completely wrong. Those are the people who you see end up committing suicide and things like that because they realize in the end that's not true. But they've already gone so far. Without God, they don't know how to go back to find God. And therefore, they can never get a way out. With no way out, they feel trapped. And if they're trapped, then usually the only way out is they take their life. You know, one of the most common things I see on Facebook and social media is divorce and separation of kids. And it's an unfortunate reality, and I'm only speaking what I see. Most of these fathers are failing because there's no God in their life. They think that money and providing for your family is the only thing that you need, and it's not. It is not. If it was, you would not see all these social medias programs. You know, like the Dads Only group, filled with millions, or at least thousands, of nothing but fathers who are lost in fatherhood because there's no God and guidance. And they flood the social media, help me, help me, help me, here's my problem. Yes, you need help. but you're going to the wrong source. Now, in order to keep this a neutral program, as far as I don't want to make it all nothing but spiritual, but I will tell you this before I switch subject. Watch them fail like they are, and you know what they're doing is not the right answer. Yes, a foundation on family and building up a family, focusing on a family like a daughter, can get you out of addiction or get you out of a situation. But that's for things that you're currently facing, like drug addiction, things of that nature. When you're in the real battle, trying to keep your wife, trying to keep your girlfriend, trying to keep your marriage together, trying to keep the kids together, and you don't have no faith, your spouse has no faith, you're going to, as you see on these dad-only places, you're going to see how quickly it falls apart. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Now, where you feel led inside is where you should go. God always gives you guidance, but you have to discern whether it's you and whether it's God. When it's you, it's probably something that you shouldn't have. Drugs, a woman, whatever. Cars, money, fast life, whatever. When it's God, it always returns back to Him. When you need guidance, go to God. When you need to lead your family, lead your family. Preferably through God, but if you're not going to do that, at least lead your family. It's better to have some of it right than none of it, correct? All right, now, what do you do when she wants to go? You know what I see a lot of? Divorce. There's no easy answer sometimes, because sometimes you have to just face the fact you picked the wrong person, and God never intended for you to have that person. But you wanted your way, and now you have to ask yourself, what did you buy? You got what you wanted, now you're in trouble. It's like those really fast cars, right? Yeah, like the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and everything. I told myself one day, I said, you know what? I'm really glad I never had the money to buy one. Because I see right now, just by looking over there, how much that would consume me? How much would not be left of me because I'd be so wrapped up in my car or wrapped up in the home? I would rather have a solid family relationship filled with just the basics and be completely happy than to have everything and be wanting to kill myself. Give me what we call mediocre. I just want my family, in my case, God. I want my family, my God, and God will work everything else out for me. Quit that, Angel. Those who do not have the faith that I have, you're relying on the same thing, you just don't know it. You'll attribute, hold on a sec. You'll have something happen and you'll think how much like, wow, look at that, there's God, right? Or I mean, the other thing you'll say, well, look at that, look at the luck right there. That wasn't luck, that was God. Or you'll say, well, maybe it was the cosmos. How do you figure a piece of rock brought you something? Figure that out. What about you just say, well, I don't know. I just got it. How'd you get it? It's not hard to figure out. You're just willing to accept. Now, you have to remember with family, they want you to be with them more than they want to be happy, in most cases, with money. They want the money, but they don't want to lose you to have the money, in most cases. Now, this world's gotten so strange and crazy, there's no telling. But usually a good family foundation is family, family, family. Knock it off, Angel. They don't want $1 million. They just want to get by. They don't want a Ferrari in the garage. They may want one, but really they don't really want one. They want you there. You can never put anything in front of your presence because you're not replaceable. Excuse me. It's like this when you hear that kid who's grown up already, he goes, "You're not my dad." And you may not be. And that person will never fully accept you. Why? Because they're never going to let you replace their dad. 100%. You may be an adequate substitute, but that's all you are. You're a substitution because the original is gone. Now, how do you handle that? What do you do? If you decided to make that family your family, you stick it out. If they're your family, you have to accept on some level some disagreements with how they feel about you sometimes, because they don't. You have to realize they want their father. It's the same way you were growing up. Look back at your childhood. You wanted your father. It's no different here. So, if you're going to fill the void, congratulations. Fill the void. Absolutely. But give the child room to deal with the emotion of not having their real dad there. Give them room to grow out of the old dad. Look, here again's my daughter. Quit leaning on me, Angel. This one right here, she had to go several years without dad while I was getting my life together. Is that right, Muffin? Say yes.
Yeah.
But guess what? She's proud to have dad in her life. Right, Angel? Tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him what you love about dad.
I love Dad.
He.
He cares about me.
See? She wants dad here. And mom. Angel, do you want dad's presence or do you want money?
Presents.
See, she wants dad's presence. She doesn't want the money. She'd rather have dad. Your kid will tell you what your kid wants if you just ask and listen. But she will have days where she struggles with the old things because she's still growing up. She may be a little upset sometimes. You have to give them room. You have to remember, when you damage them, there's really no undoing it. So make sure you don't damage your child, because it will be there for a very long time. Thank you, Muffin. You can go. Damage is forever. Let that be a word on with your spouse and whoever your significant other is. Damage is forever. So be sure, before you ever speak something, most importantly, you're willing to deal with the consequences of the action you just took or the things you've said. Because it's always going to be on your back. It's always going to be used against you. It's always going to be a place of contention. It's always going to be a place for hurt feelings. It's always going to be a place for unhappy memory. one of the next biggest problems outside of divorce tends to be work life and money. How do you justify your in? I will say it this way. If you're living in a too expensive city, move. You don't have to stay there. You're choosing to stay there. There's better places to live and not have to live in poverty. Your family wants your presence at home and with them more than they want to live in some really nice pad. Learn to balance what is acceptable for a family life. Me, excuse me, I'm learning what I don't need in life. I just don't buy it. You know, you can't take everything with you to the grave. So ask yourself this question over and over every time you want to buy something. Can I take it to the grave? What purpose does it have past the grave? Is it a worthwhile investment? Is it going to do anything worthwhile for my family? Does my family really need it? Or do I just want it? Do you want it? Or do you need it? These are the questions you must answer. A lot of times on the social media, I see guys who go, well, you know, we're maintaining this and we're making $70,000 or $120,000 a year. And the very next statement is, but I'm gone I'm gone 80 plus hours a week. I'm gone 90 hours a week. I'm gone, In other words, you're gone too much. You're barely home. So, the first question is, are you satisfied with the material things over the family? Because that's what you're buying when you do that. You're telling your family you want everything you have more than you want their presence. How are you telling that? Look at your schedule. You're never home. It speaks to what matters most to you, whether or not you meant it. And I know the very next thing you're going to say, oh yeah, but it's not for me, it's for the family. Did you ever ask if your family wants it? Or did you just go buy it? be careful with buying so much stuff that you can never get yourself out. I go usually the opposite direction. I help so many people out, like just recently, that I give so much away and I do so much for so many different people that I end up losing my stuff because I overextend myself and I help far too many people. And now I have to deal with going back to the beginning and start over again because I was doing too much for others and not enough for my family. So that is just a choice you make in life. And I'm fine with the result. Because I will lose everything if I have given everything away. I still have my God and my family. I'm not worried about much else. Homes, cars, these things can be bought again. Possessions, they can be bought again. You can't buy your family. And you know the greatest thing that I noticed? When I gave away everything, and I thought, boy, I don't have a home, I don't have a car, I don't have nothing. God's arranging it so that I don't have to worry about going back to buy the car or buying the house, because now I get to inherit one. So now I don't even have to own one. I'm getting one given to me. That came because He did it. I don't have to worry about the things that I need. He takes care of it. Now, if you're facing divorce and not being around your family, find the thing that makes the family the maddest and solve it. If it's you being away from work, you being at work, give up your schedule. What are you willing to sacrifice to save your family? Do you need it? Sell it. Get rid of it if it keeps your family. You can never put a house or a family or a car. You can't replace those things. A family can never become a car. A family can never become a house. You can buy those things again. You can't go buy a family. At least not one that'll ever love you. So you make the choice. If you're in a tough situation, do whatever you have to do to fix it. If you got to find God, find God. If you have no solution, turn to God anyway. God is a good Father. If you're willing to listen, He will always guide you. He will always help you if you just trust Him. Now, what is important about trusting God is it should get your whole family in it. And then that way you got your whole family for the rest of your life. But that's up to you. But you're the father, so you're supposed to lead your family to Christ. That's your job. J-O-B. You know, when you notice everything falls apart and you don't understand why, it's usually him calling you. And he'll let everything fall apart until you can't take it anymore. You turn and find him, and then he'll build you back up and then bring your family back into your life. But it only happens when you are willing to let it happen. Angel. When you're willing to let it happen, and ask for his help, he will come save you. Or you can let it all fall apart. It's up to you. It's your life. Now, I know there's a lot of struggling dads out there. And let me share with you, dad to dad, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. You're the head household. You're supposed to be under God, but I understand if you're not. But that's the original intent God intended, was for you to be under him, which is probably why your life goes so wrong when it goes wrong. If you're not under him, that's why. But I can tell you, as a man of faith, it's hard anyway. But, oh, thank you, Muffin. Look at how kind she was without even asking. My daughter was cool enough to bring me another Red Bull because she knows I love Red Bulls. See, that was kindness she did for Dad. Thanks, Muff. Remember to duck under the camera. Remember to duck under the camera. So, she is ducking under the camera now that I said it. Funny girl. You know, she, got sidetracked, sorry. Not she, but, not my daughter, but back to our thing. Our family will always be led by the Father, which should be you, and then you should be led by God. But if you don't put God there, you have to put something there, and then at some point everything falls apart. If you notice something, stop it. Quit distracting Dad. If you notice something, notice one thing. If the wrong source is in play, it will never sustain itself. You can never sustain something when the wrong foundation is on it. How do you know? It's simple. Go build a sand house castle. If you're going to pretend move into the house, as soon as you try to open the front door, the whole thing falls apart, right? It's on the wrong foundation because you built it with the wrong source. You use sand instead of the right material. The same thing can be said with God. Whether or not you believe in Him, the higher being is always in your life. Your ability, whether or not you believe in Him, to be led by Him, will determine whether or not your house folds in on itself. You know, I got myself to a point where I could pull in $50,000 a month, right? And I could borrow lots of money. But I had the wrong foundation. I didn't know God, and all the wrong things took me, and I lost everything because it was built on the wrong source. Now that I'm on the right source, I'm looking at the best stuff I've ever had in my life simply because I put it in His foundation down. Instead of the wrong foundation, I put His foundation down in my life. Now I have the right source. I can receive from Him everything that I was trying to build before. I get better because I have the correct source. I get more because He's in control. Let me say it this way. You being a father, if your daughter really wanted it, or if your son really wanted it, I mean really, really, really wanted it, and you knew it'd bring them nothing but joy, would you deny your child that? If you had the means to buy it, if means is not an object, would you buy it? That's what He does. That's all He does. His fatherhood is nothing but Him being a father to you and me. All He is a father. But where everybody doesn't get it is really the only thing that separates God and the devil is one word. Let's make it 3 words. Good versus evil. Who's the good person? Who's the good father? Who's the bad father? Satan wants to be the bad father, like, yeah, go take that woman. Yeah, she's not your wife, but go ahead. Go take that hit of cocaine. Go take that meth. You know, go steal that truck. Whatever. You know, go steal that money. That's not yours, but claim it, take it, right? Bad father. You ever tell your child to do something wrong and then go, oh, well, that was dumb of me. I shouldn't have done that. I'm a bad father. Satan's a bad father. He's always trying to get you to do the wrong thing. Knock it off, Angel. Sit down. He's trying to get you to do the thing that goes against him. Goes for him. So that Satan may get you further in trouble. Just like he's convincing my daughter to do little shows back there and distract her father from his program. Angel doesn't know it, but she's led by the devil. Yes, you are. She's drawing me away from my focus on the program. It's not her doing, but she's listening to the wrong voice. If she was listening to God's voice, she would know not to distract Dad during his programming. She would know to be quiet, not to interrupt Dad, not to draw his attention. What are these? Good dad versus a bad dad. God will always do something positive. The bad dad, Satan, will try to mimic God and then get you in trouble for it. You ever hear the person, let me put it this way. You ever have somebody tell you, oh, go ahead and take that. And as soon as you take it, they will go behind your back when you don't notice it, and you can't hear it. And they'll go up to somebody and say, man, hey, you took that. That was yours, wasn't it? That's how Satan works. As soon as you take or do what you're not supposed to, Satan runs right to God and says, hey, God, look, so-and-so just took that or just did that. Satan's always trying to convince you to do the wrong thing, and then Satan runs and tells on the Father on you. So he says, no, go ahead and take it. Go ahead and do it. And then he'll go run and tell Dad. Dad's God. He'll go run and tell, Dad, hey, Dad, guess what your son was doing? Look what he did. Do you think God didn't notice that Satan was trying to convince you? But you still chose to, so you're still wrong. Now, I don't know about you. It's not a hard decision for me. Do I want a good dad? Or do I want an evil dad? The choice should be obvious. And if he said you want a good dad, you go with God. There's no other way. One sec. And let's see here. Check messages, my bad. Let's see here. No more notes. All right. God tells you to do the right thing, and then he rewards you. The devil tells you to do the wrong thing, then he goes tells God on you because you did it. Now you think about that, and you make up your own mind. That is it for this week's programming. We're at our hour. So I'm not going to pray for you or anything like that because I want to try to keep, a secular line so a lot of people who don't know God can enjoy this programming. I will say this. If you are a father and you're struggling with anything, and my program did speak to you and you need help finding God or getting prayer, you can contact me at my ministry. My email address is nightchurch3, so nightchurch3 at gmail.com. Nightchurch3 at gmail.com. Get a hold of me if you are a struggling dad and this program gave you some faith or something, or you're curious about God, then reach out to me. Or if you believe in the higher power, but you're not yet there yourself, but you still have needs, email me and I'll pray with you and I'll pray for you so that way I can try to help you and you won't have to do the praying. And if you want to be a guest on the program, let me know. I am going to be looking for some guests as well. If you enjoy the program, send me an email with what you need to hear me talk about, and I'll put it on the program one of these weeks. All right. Thank you. We are done for this week. I'm going to let my daughter come preach, apparently, if you want to listen. Angel, do you got something to say? Come on over here. Here's my daughter. Angel, over here, Muff. What you got? Well, don't point to it. You got to tell these people. They can't hear you. They can't see. Turn into the microphone. Microphone.
A woman has a baby boy. That baby boy was in great danger. His mom, to save him, she put him in the basket and took him to the river. The king's daughter found the basket. The young princess carried for the baby as her own. She named him Moses.
Okay, that's good. Good job, Muffin. Okay, so that was Moses in the basket. It's my first Bible for kids. So I'm teaching her, obviously, to become a preacher or whatever she turns out to be. All right, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next program. Remember, I will always tell you what program it is because I'm going to have 5 different programs. So just listen when I start the program. Every week, I'll tell you which one I'll be speaking under. All right, goodbye for now.